So too many women are bucking and scratching, and men are just getting tired and frustrated, and they're losing their aim, and they're not getting any satisfaction out of this, and they're like getting sliced up by the woman's nails, and the bucking and the scratching has just got to stop. It's like it's out of control right now. Bucking and scratching, particularly in the secular community, is just out of control. And so I'd like to make a special appeal to secular women who are watching this show to like dial way back on the scratching and the bucking, and just lie there and think about Jerusalem.
Oh, that's what Queen Victoria told her daughter.
Yeah, just lie there and think of England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you borrowed that.
Yeah, I Judaized it.
You Jewed it up.
I Jewed it up. Think of Jerusalem.
You know, the whole time you were telling that story, I couldn't decide if Rabbi Victor Miller is rolling in his grave when he hears you say it, or if he's laughing. Because the guy has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He might actually think that story, the fact that you took it based on his words about the dog and took it to the chick scratching, he might think that's funny. I don't know.
So when Moses recruited the spies to go...
bring up your thing.
To go... Yeah, I can do this spontaneously.
Oh, okay.
I'm a very erudite thinker.
That's very good. Big word, by the way.
So when Moses recruited the spies to go into the Promised Land, he tells this story again in Devarim. And he says, it's because of you that I had to recruit these spies. So it sounds like God had promised the Promised Land to Israel, promised the land of Israel to the people of Israel.
Right.
So it sounds like Moses kind of just recruited the spies as a reluctant concession to the mob. Was this a bad idea in the first place, just having spies scout out the land when God had told Israel, I'm going to deliver this land to you? Right.
One thing at a time. Can I break this down? It's good questions you're asking. I said before that there was two reasons why I didn't. Well, what I was saying wasn't Lashon Hora. One is that I was talking about the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
The other was because, and not the land of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is it's brought down that the spies didn't just say the bad things that were there. They added on stuff that wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm.
They added on stuff that wasn't even true. They could have just said there are giants there, and they are exactly X.
They got AK-47s.
And they got AK-47s and whatever. But they went on and they said they've got giants and they've got gun. They editorialized and they added on. They said they got gun fire capabilities that we cannot overcome, and we should not go there. And this is not true because God had said, "I will overtake them for you. You have nothing to worry about. Just go." Now, Moshe Rabbeinu, L'chachila, should have. I shouldn't blame Moshe Rabbeinu. I should say, L'chachila.
What does that mean?
The way it should have been, right, is we're all going to go to Eretz Yisrael. We don't need to send spies. We're going to go, and we don't care how big they are or what we're up against, because
God's going to send stretch limits.
God, took us out of Mitzrayim. We've been...
We'll have a black driver who's wearing a uniform.
We've had
minibar,
worse situations before. We were at the river. What do we call them?
The sea reeds.
The sea, and then he made the big splits and stuff. And we're not worried about anything. They could have people 1,000 feet tall. We're going to win because we have God on our side. And the people should have said, "Okay, well, we're game with that. Let's go." But they weren't. They already started with the oh my God! Would you look at the size of those goyim, right? And this became like a common theme for the next 3,000 years. Look at the size of the goyim, right? So he said, "I'll tell you what I'm going to do." So B'diavad, he said, "I'm going to send the spies out, and they're going to come back, and they're going to tell us what's going on," which was okay based on the fact that he now had a new problem of these people going, the kvetching. Spies came back. And they took it to a whole new level because they had to say Lashon Hora, they had to lie, and they had to add on their own editorializing, and they said we can't do it. So they took the disbelief and the lack of emunah, the lack of faith, and lack of trust in God to a new level. And that's the problem. That doesn't apply by what I've talked about in the state of Israel. I can't say to somebody, "Oh, you can overcome all these things and it'll all be great for you." Why should it be? God has never said that. God has never said, that all the people, all the Jews worldwide should all now pick up and move to the Eretz Israel and join Nefesh B'Nefesh, and we should all make Aliyah, because there's no such mitzvah. There's no mitzvah for all of us to pick up and leave. Okay? You know, and the Gedolim warned against it. Lubavitcher Rebbe was against it. Lubavitcher Rebbe was against people making Aliyah. He said, okay, it's one of the 613 mitzvahs to go to live in Eretz Israel. Have you completed the other 612 first? There's mitzvahs in your backyard that you haven't done yet, and you're telling me you want to now go and abandon America and leave the people who need you behind because you need to live in Eretz Israel. Rabbi Victor Miller said that one should not move to Eretz Israel because it makes it more impossible. It goes against the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em, of honoring your parents. Because if your parents live in New York, they're not going to be able to see their kids anymore, and they're not going to be able to see their grandkids. Because you've picked up and denied your parents a chance to see their own grandkids, you are oiver, you're doing a transgression of honoring your parents, you're dishonoring them. So Rabbi Miller said one should not go to Eretz Israel if their parents are still alive. There are good. No one no respected Rebbeim that I've ever followed has said everyone should pick up and move there. That is what's called a Zionist. That is questionable at best. And most of the Gedolim say that Zionism, to say it's like a different religion. It's not Judaism. It's diametrically opposed to Judaism. What are we talking about? I forgot.
Moses sending the spies. Was that a bad idea, just sending spies?
He had to do it at the time.
Why?
Because there was an uprising again. There's always uprisings. Yeah. Everybody's always kvetching, yeah, would you look at the size of the goyim? Yeah.
So Moshe changes Hoshea's name to Yehoshua.
Yes.
So this happens a lot in Jewish life.
Sarai becomes Sarah. Avram becomes Abraham. Yaakov becomes
It doesn't happen that often in Goyish life that I experience. Like people.
No, it happens.
Not so often. Occasionally, like Gary Hart Pence became Gary Hart. But it's not like let me change my name, I'm sick, I got the old HIV, maybe if I change my name, the angel of death won't screw me.
Well, there's people like, Prince used to have a name.
Right, Prince and some of the...
Yeah, then like people change their like Kenny G, it's like...
Ocho Cinco.
Ocho Cinco was a great classic.
What's his real name, Chad?
Chad Johnson. My favorite guy was, this is not... this is a Muslim thing. The Muslims, there was a lot of people changing their name when I was a kid. They were Muslims, it was like Kareem, Lou Alcindor became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali, and a guy named Joe Smith, who was a wide receiver on Oregon State, went to the pros and he became Zaid Abdul Aziz. He went from Joe Smith to Zaid Abdul Aziz. My favorite. Okay, go ahead.
So note that the spies brought back a juicy bunch of grapes, not a juicy shiksa. So too many people, they go to the market, they're going to say, I'm going to get some juicy grapes. So they made a shiksa. One thing leads to another. So speaking of shiksas, 7:30 p.m. Sunday.
It does not say Sunday.
It should.
It doesn't. It just says 7:30 as if it's tonight. So, and we missed it. God bless it, we missed it.
So Sunday, June 19th, I'll deliver a talk on the Shiksa Menace. So Shiksa Menace 1.0 is the blonde wasp Shiksa. The Shiksa Menace of the Torah man. And then I'll also cover the Shiksa Menace 2.0, the Oriental. The Shiksa Menace 3.0 is
the Oriental. Who says Oriental is Asian?
I say Oriental.
Okay, Oriental. Okay.
The sultry Latina. So
the slanty women.
Yeah. So what will the Goyim think? That's Moshe's argument to God when God wants to wipe out Israel. Numbers chapter 14, verses 13 to 16. So what the Goyim think about Jews is important. Moshe says to God, you can't wipe out the Israelites.
The Jews. Can't you say Jews?
Because what will the Egyptians say? So the whole purpose of Jews is to witness to God. So I believe God was serious about killing off the Jews. Because the only purpose of Jews is to carry God to the world, God with his moral demands. So if Jews won't do this, there's no reason for Jews. So God holds adults responsible for their behavior, even though they were once slaves. Like God's pretty ticked. The Jews.
Okay. Now, can we take this weiter? Can we take this the next step? Since you now believe that, and you've just articulated that very well. Can you say that it's